Welcome in. Soccer down here / soccer over there / soccer down here PM / whatever else you want to throw on this. It might turn into being a Plonker of the week segment, just the whole show. I've been talking about soccer for 5 hours today already, so I'm delirious. So, John, you're in charge, and we're all in trouble.
Sweet.
Not sweet.
Sweet.
Not sweet. We got a lot of stuff to get into. We've got a little bit of not quite breaking. We weren't live when it happened, but we'll go ahead and throw this for effect. The NWSL has made an announcement on what they're going to do going forward with the anthem. I don't think they solved anything with their move.
No.
I'm just going to read the first part of the statement before the quote from Commissioner Lisa Baird. The National Women's Soccer League announced today that it will revise its pregame ceremonies during the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup presented by P&G in secret to provide additional flexibility for players to participate as they see fit. The national anthem will be played, and players will have the option of being on the field or in the locker room. I don't think that was the issue at all. So, I don't know. I don't think this is going to make it any better, where instead of trying to look at what player was standing or which players weren't standing or whichever your prerogative is, now it's just going to be, well, who wasn't out there, and why do we need the anthem when there's no fans in the stands anyway?
Yeah. Jess?
I mean, it's all just, that wasn't the issue, really. The issue was people were concerned about the look of a team as a unified unit and whether it really showed that they were together. A lot of the tweets I read were more that, NWSL was tweeting about how we're in this together, and, there were not so many signs of together. People were making different decisions. Now, people will still make different decisions in this way, and they will be forced to make different decisions. So now, instead of seeing, okay, these three are kneeling, this one's standing, this one's kneeling, now you're going to be like, oh, well, there's 6 players out on the pitch, there's 5 that aren't, who are those? And it's still the same difficulty, and you're forcing these players to make a decision publicly that's very public, that shows that potentially causes issues within the team spirit, that causes issues within one another not really agreeing with each other on a public standpoint. It's a domestic league. I know that, and I'm very careful with talking about American tradition because it's not something that I was raised with, but I know the US national anthem is a huge thing and patriotism is very important. But it's a domestic league. There are no fans in the crowd to be a part of it. So why do you need it? And if it's causing issues and it's becoming the focal point of the game instead of the soccer, that the soccer has been so brilliant, and yet how many tweets are being dedicated to the soccer and how many being dedicated to the anthem, that's where it starts to get, disappointing.
Yeah, it's frustrating, John.
Yeah, I just look at it this way. Yes, it's very NFL of you to do this, but I think what you've done is you've created a different set of distractions, and Jess alluded to them. Instead of focusing on who's standing, who's kneeling, who's doing what, and it's all out there in front of you, now your focus is on a different set of distractions. Who's inside, who's outside, and having to try to sit there and reanalyze something instead of sitting there and just laying it all out there, which is what we have maintained, and the 3 of us have maintained when it comes to the anthem. It's just, I just think that you're piling on a separate set of questions now. Instead of taking care of the first set of questions, you've now added a second set of questions to the whole thing. So yes, confusing.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes over tomorrow. First game at 12:30, second one at 10. They're both on CBS All Access. If you have not heard it yet, and you probably haven't because it just dropped about 90 minutes or so ago, Jess and I recorded the latest cup date, looked back at the games from the weekend, and looked ahead. What are you doing, John?
Dinner.
Okay.
Dinner became very mobile, and it was just handed to me by the boss.
All
so
right.
it's for later.
Like, man, totally distracted.
Not sharing any of it. So.
He really didn't like our show, Jason.
Seriously, that's what you think, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Maybe John is the plonker of the weekend. I don't know. Just
Early
guessing.
plonker of the show, that goes to me.
Yeah, seriously. All right, lots of stuff. We got talking about all kinds of testing procedures, and we got talking about anthems this morning on the show. We didn't really get to much of what happened over the weekend. Jess, your team had a plonker moment with a certain U.S. men's national team center back who got himself sent off.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
And I tweeted the video because I thought everyone deserved to see this moment of Miazga and to show that your concerns about him have continued and have not changed, whether it's on a domestic or an international level. Look, he's been pretty good for us on loan. He's been pretty good, and he cares about the club and all that jazz, and he shows commitment. But he is inconsistent, and he is a hothead. And for someone his age and this long into playing the game, he doesn't play like an adult on the pitch sometimes. He doesn't play like a professional, and this moment of madness just shows it. And look, it all started early on. It was a very frustrating game. Reading, went 2-0 down, some defensive errors. He's probably annoyed at himself about that. And then we get back into the game. And it's 2-1 for a good period of time, and you're looking, and everyone knows 2-1 is that sort of game where there's argy-bargy starting off the ball stuff. And I think some chit-chat happened towards the end, and then it's after the final whistle. Now, if you get sent off in the heat of the moment during the game, okay, maybe you defend it. But to get sent off for, I don't even know how to describe it, like a little slap.
Slap and a push and a get away from me. And
there was like
I've got a nosebleed or something.
Yeah,
like that.
there's like a right forearm throw that hit the back of the guy's head. There was a slap. There was a wannabe headbutt from the opponent. I mean, the whole thing was just awful, bad attempt at professional wrestling.
I think he was the thing that disappointed me was my dad is going to disagree with this. He quite liked. He's like, it shows he loves Reading. And okay, Dad, I get it. It's cool that he's fighting for the club, for the badge. But for me, he started it, and that's what's so like self-defense maybe. But Miazga's like 6 foot something, and it's this little guy walking towards him. Just give him his space, And instead, Miazga kind of puts his arm around him, gives him a hug, and to me, he cost the team because it's 3 games for violent conduct. That's a 3-game. And Reading season, yes, maybe it's over. Playoffs isn't really looking likely, but this is about rebuilding and getting ready for next season. And you've just lost us our starting defender because you are too hot-headed. So 100% a plonker. And if you're U.S. men's national team, like we were texting about, Jason, Miles Robinson is a far more mature option, and he can handle his shiz, as we've seen with Atlanta United. There's been times when he's had players in his face, and he knows to take a breath, and it's not worth a red card. And so I wouldn't be selecting him anytime soon. I don't know about you guys.
Composure. It's a really important element to all of this.
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
But you don't do that with a stupid slap, and you don't do that with a... Like, you slap the guy, and then you grab your face, and no, like, you go
There was no blood.
No, you go in and you throw an elbow in a corner where nobody sees it. You go in with a crunching tackle. Like, handle your business. If you've got business to handle, do it in the course of the game. Don't get caught up in this nonsense. And if it was the first time, all right, it's not. There's been composure issues for a long time with him, and it's got to change. He's old enough to know better at this point. And right now, if you look at the U.S. men's national team depth chart, you've got John Brooks, you've got Miles Robinson, you've got Aaron Long. I think you might have Tim Parker all ahead of Matt Miazga. And Miazga has all of the capabilities of being a starter for the national team. I think he has the ability. I think he has the size, the strength, the skill. I think he's got all that. you can't have a red card in a World Cup match or a qualifier or a match like that means something for your national team. You just can't risk it.
Yeah, it still means something, Jason. Saturday meant something.
The problem is for the national team. Sorry, not to disparage your Reading squad. It's not about meaning something, not meaning something. It's just that you have so few games. So if you do something like that with the national team, it's even bigger of an issue. And it's just,
and you don't want to get on the wrong side of men's national team fans, as we've seen with a Michael Bradley in an MLS game. Those kind of.
Who?
Well, no, I don't know. If Michael Bradley slapped somebody or gave him a forearm shiver, people might love the guy. I don't know.
He's showing personality all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's really trying hard now. Oh. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. But Miazga frustrates me because I feel like he should be ahead of this stuff by now.
Yep.
Grow up. That is all. Plonker.
Yeah, got to be a Plonker. We'll get John's Plonker of the weekend here in a minute. I have multiple not surprised by your multiple Plonker nominees.
Plethora of Plonkers?
That's not good.
Polly Plonker?
No, now you're just getting weird.
That just sounds weird.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that. The other big news of the day, Barcelona and Juventus. They get the deal done. Arthur going to Juventus and Pjanic going to Barcelona. That's the news. If you didn't see the video of Lionel Messi just walking away from the assistant coach Barcelona during one of the hydration breaks, and then you read about the rumors of Quique Setien not continuing with Barcelona for next season. He signed for 2.5 years. I think some on the board probably thought that was a mistake the day it was signed. There's reports he's lost the locker room. He said this is a locker room like he's never dealt with before. They might still win a trophy, potentially. They might still win multiple trophies, but that's the only thing that's going to save him at this point. Setien wasn't the guy to begin with. We talked about it on Soccer Over There when this deal was announced. Barcelona has lost who Barcelona is. They are just a big club trying to hold on at this point. They're not what's made Barcelona special. They have, as Dermot Corrigan at The Athletic wrote, summer of 2014, that's a long time ago, that's when Barcelona added Luis Suarez, Ter Stegen, Rakitic. Since then, that was 165 million euros spent. I'd say it was worth it. Since then, they've spent, since summer of 2014, 800 million euro. For what?
Yeah.
Nothing. You can look at who they got in this last window and say, well, they just got there. Maybe there's something to some of these guys. Maybe. But you have blown so much money, and Piqué, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, all getting older. Guys that you signed and spent a bunch of money, where are they now? Everton, Villarreal, Celta de Vigo. Barcelona signed these guys. And now they're at, no offense to Everton, Villarreal, and Celta de Vigo, but come on. I mean, it's not what Barcelona's supposed to be. And now you've got another problem with the manager. The only solution for Barcelona, and it's probably going to cost them, and it doesn't matter at this point, whatever Xavi wants, you give him whatever he wants. You have to go get Xavi and bring him in to be the manager. He said no in January. You went and got Setien. You made a mistake. Beg. Whatever it takes, you got to get Xavi because you've got to do something to get a culture back. Culture is such a big part of this, and Barcelona doesn't have one right now.
And the fans will get tired of it too, though. When you, like the loyal fans, the ones that have supported Barcelona because of who they are, because of how they play, they don't want to support a team that doesn't represent everything that they fell in love with anymore. Even if it's not the Spanish fans, the Spanish fans that support because of where they live, because they're Catalonian, whatever. It's these fans in the US that fell in love with the Barcelona style of play that now can't recognize their team, that can't recognize the direction they're going. And like you say, with that moment, if you've lost the locker room, it's game over. Even if you win a trophy, it's game over, because the players will win trophies because of the quality on the pitch. It doesn't necessarily have that much to do with the manager and whether they're playing for the manager. They're playing the game because they want to win, because they have pride in themselves. But if they're not playing for the manager, or they're making decisions themselves tactically away from what the manager's saying, you can't keep someone like that, because it's only going to get worse. And as you said, Jason, with the aging players, once they drop, once they're not going to perform to the same level, once they're not able to compete anymore, then you're doomed if you don't start getting back to the way you used to be.
Yeah, I mean,
So
John, we've talked about this with Barcelona a lot over the last few months. They are in a bad spot because of Setien. I mean, there's rumors that board members have spoken with him ahead of this next match. There's rumors that if he fails to win both of the upcoming matches with Atletico Madrid and Villarreal, that he's gone. There's rumors it doesn't matter. He's gone no matter what. They've got financial issues. They've got managerial issues. Is there a way out?
No, I don't think so. I think that it's at the latest at the end of the season. When you draw Celta Vigo 2-2, that should be, big hands-waving element in the air that, something has to be fixed. So let me ask the two of you this. You're Xavi. Jess, you're Xavi. Jason, you're Xavi.
Okay.
What do you ask for other than complete control? Obviously, that's part of the gig. What do you ask for if you're Xavi so you will accept the gig?
For if I'm Xavi and I'm a fairly young manager, I want security. I want 3 years. I want a 3-year project. I want it to be understood that it's going to take 3 years. I want control over La Masia. I want control over the development system, because that's broken. You're not developing players anymore if you're Barcelona. You have nothing coming through La Masia. Xavi knows La Masia as well as anybody. I want complete control over that and be able to hire who I want in those roles. I want a say on the transfer side. I don't think you're going to get you're not going to get the checkbook, but you've got to have a say in it, because I think that's part of the issue at Barcelona lately is just, a random collection of players coming in. There's not much of a plan that the manager is bringing these guys in to fit something. So I want security. I want control over the development pipeline, because that's knowing what Xavi knows about the club. That's the lifeblood. You've got to fix that. And I want say over who comes in. I want to be able to veto a signing, at least. Maybe that's the fair way to put it.
I think it's all about getting patience, because like we said, Barcelona's not even recognizable, and he's going to come in with what he sees for the club, but it doesn't change overnight. And all too often at the moment in this day and age, you see managers that have a vision, but they're not given the time. If the results don't happen immediately, if things don't change right away, look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There were people calling for his head so early on. And look, I know it didn't necessarily work out right, but they are changing, they are developing, and he is someone that understands Man United, that understands what they're about and understands the club as a whole. And so you had to give him time, and now a lot of people are a lot more favorable towards him, and they realize he probably is the right person for the job. So I think it's all about patience, which is a word that in this day and age with soccer, managers aren't given time or patience to make the adjustments and to get the players in that they want. He's going to need a transfer window. And I get what you're saying about vetoing. I think that's a great idea. And I think he should have 1 or 2 picks that he's guaranteed. That if he says, hey, this is my top 5, get me 2 of these at least, and I'll be
reasonable.
Happy.
Not like Cristiano Ronaldo, reasonable.
Like within a budget, given a structure. But he should be able to get at least a couple of his top picks. He shouldn't be sending a list of 5 and then being like, well, how about this guy? And it's not even comparable to his list. And I think that happens a lot with managers and their recruiters and, agents and all that. You give them somebody and then they give you chalk and cheese, and it's just not the same.
Look, we've referenced this many times. I can't remember where it originated. Full-Time Devils is where it's lived for a while. You mentioned Ole. This kid was dead on back in December.
It's not Ollie's fault. He didn't bring in Pereira. He didn't bring in Fred. But Ollie, just let him go to January. Just at least January, so he could get some players.
So you want patience from the board with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, like last time we've had Davy Moyes. Davy Moyes, he was going to make a team, then he just sacked him. I don't think Ed Woodward should be our board.
Definitely shouldn't. A lot will agree with you there.
I don't think he cares about United. I think he's just here for the money.
What would you say to Ed Woodward then?
Ed, like, just go. Just go. It's not Ollie's fault.
The kid nailed it. He was so right.
He absolutely nailed it.
We need to get that kid on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, he'd be better than me, and he's got a little cute accent, everything.
We'll
bring him on.
Just go.
You've got to have patience with managers. You can't, especially when the job is what Barcelona has. I mean, look, they moved on. They went on and get Setien, and he wasn't the first choice, and he knows he wasn't the first choice. Now you're already ready to move on again. I mean, you've got to hire somebody and stick with them. There's just no... The rest of it you can all throw in the trash. Whoever you hire, you've got to let them rebuild this team, because your key players, your locker room leaders right now are all 30 plus, and some of them are getting deeper into the 30s. The only person I think that group is going to respect is Xavi. And you're not running that group out of town right now. You can't. You have nothing else. So you have to get somebody that they're going to respect. Xavi has to come in and get them back on board with rebuilding the club, because he needs them too. That's where you're at right now. I think he's the only answer. Whoever it is, you got to have patience.
Right there with you. Let Ed just go.
Well, hey, maybe Ed
he
listened.
Nailed it.
Maybe Ed listened, because, what has Manchester United done since the comeback, huh?
They've calmed it down, and they're working forward. I mean, absolutely calmed
Manchester
it down.
United has been pretty impressive. I think Ole might be the right guy. I don't know. Just saying.
I mean, like I said, you get that initial, was it first 11 that they were unbeaten, and then you had the crash, and everybody's sitting there freaking out at the end of last season about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And now, once he's gotten his system in place, he's gotten a couple of guys, a couple of key things, and patience of the build. And we've seen it with guys like McTominay and Maguire and
but it shouldn't take it being a club personality, a club hero, to get patience. And that's kind of what the issue is right now in soccer. Unless you have this tie of like being a hero in the club, that if you sack them, you kind of ruin all the memories of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if you sack him. It shouldn't take that connection between club and team for there to be patience. And I think that's what chairmans need to look at, because you see it a lot. That gained him that time. If he wasn't, I think he would have been gone.
Yeah, potentially. But instead, since they lost to Burnley on January 22nd, Manchester United is unbeaten in 14 in all competitions.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ole has done the job, and I hope that people are paying attention and get off the guy's back.
Yeah.
He's so likable. How can you not be? Like, I don't understand how people are mean to him. He's got the baby face assassin. Be nice.
You can't be mean to Ole. Come on now.
No. It's I give him full props and respect for what he did when he came in late last year. And he's pieced it together in this run that they're on right now. I mean, they're right in the thick of things.
They're sixth right now in the table. Wolves
FA
3
Cup.
points ahead. Wolves has played one more game. They're in the FA Cup deep. I mean, they're doing everything you could possibly ask for. Let's talk about the Premier League. Liverpool finally clinches it. They've got the title. Everybody's playing for European places now, and with the Manchester City appeal kind of hanging over everybody's head, we should get an answer really any time in the next few weeks. Yeah. Right now, they're clear in second, and if they can play in Europe, they'll play in Europe. If they can't, Then it's Leicester, Chelsea, and Wolves as we look at it right now, but Wolves has played 32 matches where everybody around them, with the exception of Burnley, has played 31. Jess, who do you think is going to get into Europe? Let's leave City out of it for right now. If they get in, they get in. Who do you think will be the next 3 teams in the Premier League?
Look, I hope Wolves get in, because I've been watching them lately, and I just love the way they play. I love the fight and the grittiness. I love players like Jimenez. I really hope Wolves make it. They're managed by a great manager who's passionate about the team, and they built Wolves into something. Like, Wolves historically with Molineux was like a dangerous place to play, but when they got promoted, they had the yo-yo times. They've been back and forth, and now they strike me as a solid Premier League club, and it's not a club that you're shocked to see in those positions. So I love watching them play. And then I think Leicester's always a good option when you've got someone like Jamie Vardy with his goals in him. He just always pops up in the right place, Vardy, and he's just an effective goal scorer. So I definitely think they're odds on as well. And I don't know. It's been a really good year when it comes to the Premier League, and maybe you put Man United up there with how they're going right now, with how they're unstoppable. I think
Frank Lampard's going to be very upset with you.
Yeah.
They are good, but they always strike me as a team that can concede and can make errors in the wrong place. And they capitalize. Look at the City game. Look at their goals they scored. Yes, good finishes, but kind of handed on the plate by City. And then you look at opportunities they had throughout the game as well. They didn't finish when they could have. The goalkeeper, Ederson, threw the ball straight to Mount, and Mount puts it in the side netting. In a close game, he has to score that. I mean, they had a penalty, 10 men. You know, it's one of those where, yes, it was a good result. Don't let me get that wrong. And yes, Pulisic's doing well right now, but they are always looking like they might make an immature error. I would say they're still a young team as well.
41 goals allowed for Chelsea.
Yeah.
You look at the teams around them. I mean, Liverpool's allowed 21. City's allowed 33, Leicester 29, Wolves 34, Manchester
it's shocking,
United 31,
the
and Chelsea 10 more goals than Manchester United.
And you're leaking goals, and they make up for it because they are scoring, but you can't guarantee that all the time. If you come up against a good goalkeeper, you can be frustrated. And if you're always leaking goals, you're always looking to concede, and you're going in with it with a mentality. Do you know how many shutouts they've had this season? Because that's one that mentally starts to get to you. If you're not able to, keep a clean sheet, then you're always knowing that you're going to have to score at least 2 goals to win a game.
You've had some lately, which I'll give them credit for. You had the one over the weekend with Leicester. You had the one against Everton right before the coronavirus outbreak. And yet back-to-back, you had Everton and Liverpool that you were able to get clean sheets against right then. But, yeah, I mean, it always feels like, you look at some of the numbers. You gave up 3 to Bayern in the first leg at home in Champions League. You gave up 2 to Bournemouth and drew with them at the end of February. There's some games that, are they elite? I don't know, but I worry a little more about Leicester at this point, honestly.
Yeah, they look like they've run out of gas.
Yeah, John, you've watched Leicester a good bit this season. They drew with Watford since coming back. They drew with Brighton, and they didn't score against Chelsea. They've only scored 1 goal in 3 games since coming back. They get Everton, Palace, and Arsenal in their next 3. None of those are really pushovers.
No, Everton's going to make it difficult for you.
Everton are good defensively too, and if you're playing against, they've done a lot. Like the games I've watched, and even Pickford's playing a lot better consistently, which is nice. But when you're playing against a team that is pretty well defensively at the moment, that's going to concern you when you're not scoring. That's going to get in your head.
Yeah, you look at Crystal Palace, and they will basically. I mean, they're a cure. They're a cure for insomnia. They really are. Once again,
it's
evidenced
bad.
by the
Steve
match
Bruce,
today.
He knows all about insomnia.
that he do. The match today against Burnley gets one. Crystal Palace doesn't. Jordan Ayew might have been given a red if folks were looking at it in different ways, but Crystal Palace, that might be a point because you know that Roy Hodgson's just going to sit there and take it from one side to the other.
8 goals for Palace, but they're in 11th.
Because when you have a keeper like Huayta who can stand on his head and keep a lot of clean sheets, I mean, there's a lot of 1-0. There's a lot of goalless draws. I mean, you want to sit there and Tony Pulis and Roy Hodgson through Crystal Palace and Big Sam. I mean, that's just a lot to look forward to when you're talking about offense. But Arsenal for me might be the one in those next 3 that you'll see something. So it's going to be tough for Leicester. I think that Chelsea is building to next year because when you have Timo Werner coming in and you've got that front line with Tammy Abraham next year, I think that Chelsea's really going to be something to look at. But I love what I've seen with Wolves, so I think that 3-4-5 it's going to be a Donnybrook heading in on the run in because you see what Nuno Espirito Santo has done with Jimenez and Jota and Doherty at the back and. It's a sound team and a philosophy that I think when they came up from the championship, folks weren't used to his style of play, and he has adjusted. And it's I tip my hat to Wolves and what they've done, but I think that grouping in there, Leicester to me looks like they might have hit the wall, and they've got to really push through and get some goals scored because it has been a drought for scoring goals. For them in the last couple of matches.
We'll come back to the top of the table in a second. I mentioned Steve Bruce and Newcastle because Palace has scored 28 goals this season. Newcastle scored 29. Watford, Bournemouth, and Norwich are the only other teams that have scored less than 30 this season. Who is the most boring out of all those teams? I don't think Norwich is boring.
No, they're not
good.
No.
Bournemouth, I don't think is boring.
The Norwich's game against Man United in the FA Cup was a damn good one. And Krul, if you want to talk about goalies standing on their head,
Tim Krul
was it was cruel that he had to concede late on. He needed his penalty saving moment.
We need a rim shot drop for that.
It's getting late, Jason. It's been a long day.
All right, so let's look at those 5. So. Norwich, they're just not good. No, they're just not good.
Not boring.
Watford's not boring when you have Dini and Doucouré, and there are flashes there for Watford. So I would say they're not boring.
Newcastle's the most boring. Palace should be the most boring. Somehow Steve Bruce has taken a team that has attacking talent and made them horrendously boring. Did you try to watch that match yesterday?
Yeah. That was. No.
Tried. I don't like to watch buses get parked and set on fire. It's no fun.
That was the entire garage. It wasn't just a bus.
It's no fun. Because you see some of the players on this team, and they're fun.
You look at the roster. Yeah. Look down the roster. It shouldn't be a boring team. And I feel sorry for all the Atlanta United fans that Newcastle fans by association with Miggy, and you're not getting
to figure out where to put Miguel Almiron finally. How long did it take him?
Miggy, not boring.
No.
Saint-Maximin, not boring. I really like his game. Joe Linton, I mean, he's inconsistent.
Swings
but not
and misses,
boring.
but he's not boring.
John Joe Shelby, not boring.
Not boring.
DeAndre Yedlin, not boring. Andy Carroll's hair, not boring. He's creative. I'll give him that.
Andy Carroll's Fu Manchu, not boring.
Well, I mean, at least he's doing something for a personality with his chops and his Fu Manchu and whatever else he's got going on. This team should be so much more interesting than they are, and it's frustrating. That game yesterday, I mean, I'm just like, I want to watch this. I want to watch. I can't. I turned it off. I can't.
I turned the volume off. Yeah.
I turned this thing off because it was offensive. It was offensive Luckily, there were no fans
to
there.
Call them. At least you don't have to call Newcastle.
I wouldn't be able to call Newcastle for long because they would want somebody else calling those games. It was bad, and you give up the goal on the penalty. Okay, you're trying to pack it in and be as defensive as you can. Fine. You give up the goal. Go for something? Anything?
Nah.
No? What does it matter if you lose by more? You're good. I mean, you're not going to get relegated. You know, you're 14th.
Relegated from the FA Cup for that performance.
That's such a weird mentality that you concede and you settle for losing by what? Like, if you're losing, you're losing. What does it matter if you? It would be different if you might get relegated based on goals allowed or goals difference, or that's when you have to start thinking tactically about how many goals you're willing to concede. But how do you not just go for a point and say, you know what, if we concede a couple more, at least we went out fighting and trying. And if you're a fan, how do you watch your team settle to lose 1-0? Like, it's just as bad. It sucks losing. Like, it doesn't matter if you lose 1-0, 2-0. At least you lose 2-0 trying to get back into it.
I mean, think about Southampton and what happened with them early in the season, getting absolutely waxed by Leicester, and everybody's sitting there thinking that Ralph Hasenhüttl needs to be thrown out on the rail, and how they turned their season around with one of the great goal scorers in the league.
I mean, this game was so offensive, I forgot it was a cup game. It's that bad. Like, I didn't even want to know what it was. And that's even worse. That's even more offensive. You're 1-0 down in a cup match?
Yeah.
At that point, you've got nothing. And it's one leg. So you're not going to mess yourself up for this. We're going to hang at 1-0 in case we have a second leg to, go fight things. I guess the FA Cup doesn't mean as much to anyone anymore.
That's my plonker of the weekend, Steve Bruce, for the tactics in that match. Because it was offensive for anybody who actually enjoys soccer.
Set the game back a good decade.
Nobody's watching enough for it to set anything back. Steve Bruce ain't important. Come on. He's not setting anything back. He's a plonker. God.
Just to answer your question, Chelsea had a clean sheet in January against Burnley 3-0, and then they had another one in the Prem on Boxing Day. Before Boxing Day, they shut out Spurs on December 22nd, 2-0. So those are your last two in Premier League shutouts.
So it's few and far between. They're definitely, it's fair to say that they're leaking a few goals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John, what are your plonkers of the weekend?
Well, sticking in the Premier League and sticking to Watford, how about Andre Gray?
I knew it. Yep. What an idiot.
What did he do?
Talk about it, John, because it's annoying.
All right. So, officially, Andre Gray has apologized for breaking lockdown regulations by holding a gathering at his home. According to our friends at Sky, Gray, along with Watford teammates Nathaniel Chalobah and Domingos Quina, were left out of the squad to face Southampton on Sunday, quote, to ensure the health and safety of all players, staff, and officials, as the club launched an investigation into claims alleging that two of their players broke government lockdown rules. Gray admitted to having a gathering at his home on Friday, and I think there were as many as 20 people there, to celebrate his birthday, and apologized to his teammates and Watford staff for his actions.
He said he was having a football tournament. What do you mean you're having a football tournament before you play a game? Your team is going to potentially be relegated, and you want to go have a kickabout with 20 friends in your back garden. I would not want to answer to Troy Deeney out of everyone. I would be terrified of going back and seeing Troy Deeney, because I just couldn't believe it. And this is why, again, the bubble will be locked down for a reason during MLS, because I'm sorry, it seems like adult soccer players can't make sensible decisions. And this is with lockdown regulations as strict as they are in England. Rules are still very much, a lot stricter than over here. Can you imagine if we give MLS players the liberty to go do whatever they want? I hate to say it, but
it's just unbelievable.
Okay, I'm going to keep going because I've got more plonkers.
Well, okay, I don't know if you're going to beat Andre Gray, but go ahead.
Okay, so you know how we've covered the alleged sale of Newcastle?
Uh-huh.
All right, so this is from our friends at Awful Announcing. And we all know about how the Saudi's public investment fund is trying to buy an 80% stake in Newcastle. And we've discussed the piracy issues that are right now up for current debate. The World Trade Organization ruled there's vast evidence that the government of Saudi Arabia supported pirate broadcaster Be Outcue in using encrypted channels to illegally air premium sports and content in the Middle East and beyond. So they did address this pressure that is being put on them from outside parties in a letter to the UK government this week. But as Rob Draper and James Sharp write in the Mail on Sunday, the Saudi government's claim, delivered by Minister of Commerce Dr. Majid bin Abdullah al-Kasabi, says that they weren't aware of the piracy issues because complaints weren't addressed to the right email account.
Okay.
The Mail on Sunday have seen a letter sent by the PIF to the UK government which claimed they will happily shut down any illegal piracy of Premier League football if only someone had complained to the correct email address. The letter, signed by Dr. Kasabi, who's also on the PIF board, said, quote, "No evidence of civil or criminal copyright violation at all has been provided to the Saudi authorities responsible for enforcing intellectual property rights in Saudi Arabia. We want to confirm how simple and transparent our process is for submitting information and claims regarding the protection of intellectual property. In order to raise an intellectual property issue in Saudi Arabia, a right holder only needs to send an email to the responsible authorities."
That's a lie. Lots of lies. All freaking lies.
I think there's something Weasley going on.
They
right,
wouldn't
Dave.
allow lawyers in the kingdom to even take up a case about it. They had come out and said some things and talked about getting rid of piracy, and they were monitoring 200-something websites and all this stuff. I mean, they were actually trying to say some of the things that might get this deal done. The Premier League cannot allow this to happen now. Not with that response. They can't. That's throwing it in your face. That's basically coming into your house, going into your fridge, eating your pie, all of it. And then when the person comes out to you, shows you the empty pie pan, says that's not a pie pan, that was a meatloaf. Like, it's no. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. No. And they can't do this. Newcastle can't go to this when they stole from you. And now they're telling you, oh, yeah, you could have done so. You could have sent us
But
an email.
laughing in your face. It's like, yes, we stole from you, but you didn't report it right, so it doesn't
You didn't
really
tell
count
us.
it doesn't really count as stealing because you didn't discipline us properly. You put .co.uk instead of .com. Like, I'm sorry.
And look, here's the deal. BN Sports has given the Premier League over $1 billion for the last 5 years. They've given Serie A a whole lot of money too. What did they do to Serie A? Serie A, after they've decided to have this Super Copa match in Saudi Arabia 3 out of 5 times, what did BN do? They said, yeah, we paid for the rights to air your league. We're not going to show it. We're going to black it out in like 30 countries because of the way you're treating us. Like, we're not asking for our money back right now because, look, we don't have any say in this. But we're not going to show the property that we paid for. They'll do the same to the Premier League, and they should. Because Saudi Arabia stole from them, allowed stealing to happen from them, is maybe the better way to put it, and now is just lying about it. You can't allow this sale to go through. Now it's just hanging over Newcastle's head. And maybe Steve Bruce is going to use it as an excuse for why his soccer is so boring. I don't know. But you can't have this in your league. There's so many other reasons why you can't have this in your league, but you already made decisions down those roads a long time ago. You can't allow somebody who stole from you to be part of your house. You can't.
Unless,
Plonker.
of course,
Absolute plonker.
unless, of course, you are Newcastle.
Yeah, but he's got a better deal on the table from the Clear TV guy.
Yeah.
Like, supposedly that guy offered 50 million more pounds. Like, what? What are you doing, Ashley? Come on.
Yeah.
And he likes money.
He should. Yeah, he can go
Money.
open another like 8-track store or something.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
it's insane. There's so many plonkers in this whole story.
Yes, and then my third plonker comes
There's
from our
more
friends at
plonkers?
The Athletic.
Jeez.
There's a third plonker, and this is my plug for The Athletic. If you don't subscribe, it's tremendous work that they do on a bunch of different fronts. League Two clubs to appeal after Macclesfield was spared relegation. It's a story by Matt Slater that came out over the weekend. League Two clubs want the EFL to appeal against the Disciplinary Commission's decision to deduct only 2 points from Macclesfield Town for the late payments of wages and misuse of an EFL loan, a ruling that narrowly saved the club from relegation at the expense of Stevenage. And it goes into how the owner, the current owner of Macclesfield, basically just decided to use funds that were loaned to him from the EFL to pay off old debts and not pay his players. So Matt Slater did some great work over the weekend. If you have The Athletic, for those watching on Twitch, there you go. League Two clubs, Matt Slater article. Macclesfield Town, this owner doesn't need to be owning anymore, and they need to be relegated, and Stevenage needs to stay up in League Two. And I'm turning into a Barrow fan more and more. So there you go.
I will take exception with one thing you said.
Sure.
This guy doesn't need to be owning anymore. He owns it. I mean, you got to try to get him to sell it, or you're going to have the team go away. And
we
you don't
know
want
how
that.
hard it is to sell Division 2 teams.
Right.
They're not the most tasty property. It's going to be a lot easier to sell in Newcastle than it is at Macclesfield Town. So it's a bad move on his part, and he's going to. Not many people are going to be wanting. He's going to struggle to sign new players. That's for sure. When you hear a chairman picks his debt over paying the players, so
I want Amar Al-Qadi to sell Macclesfield Town to folks who care and will invest and pay their players. He doesn't need to be their owner.
I don't know if there's anybody out there. That's the problem. That's where
if
the
you're
problem
out
for some
there,
of these smaller
go
teams.
buy Macclesfield.
Buy Macclesfield Town if you're out there and have some pounds that you can rub together.
All right, Jess. So who is the plonker of the weekend? We have Steve Bruce. We have Matt Miazga. We have the owner of Macclesfield Town. We have, I guess, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, at least in the way that they are dealing with the supposed piracy case. And we have Andre Gray and his party.
You know what? I'm going to go with Andre Gray because it wasn't just about soccer. He broke the damn law and put a lot of people's lives at risk because of his birthday party. You're a professional soccer player. You're going to get a real good birthday party when things are safe. Your team's about to be relegated potentially, and Watford struggled. And what a bad way to leave your team on the edge. And I think that one is ultimate plonker status there. But they're all pretty bad. And I don't want to criticize the whole of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I found that sounder while we were working on this. So.
What a plonker.
That's
no
perfect.
idea what it's from, but it's perfect.
It is perfect. Let's see. What else is on your rundown?
Let's see. What have we not touched on? Jesse Marsch and Red Bull Salzburg, they won the title again in Austria. It's their 7th straight. I mean, he's done a double. That's really good. But you look at the Austrian Bundesliga, he should be winning. He did say he's going to stay at the club, which is a good thing for the club. I think he's going to wait it out and see what pops up in Germany because he's making a name for himself after his time as an assistant with Leipzig last year, now winning trophies with Salzburg, what they did in Champions League at Anfield, coming back to equalize after 3-0 down. He's turning some heads, but I think he's smart to wait another season at least to see what's going on. It's hard right now because you don't know what the jobs are going to look like. You don't know what the business is going to look like. But I think he's good to wait it out. Yeah,
and what he's done, it's been great to see what he's been able to do, and to add the story of Matarazzo at Stuttgart, I thought was really cool over the weekend. A guy who played soccer at Columbia, and Stuttgart gets promoted in the Bundesliga. So cool stuff with Marsch there. And obviously we know that Bundesliga, you better be winning, but still, when you can win your 7th in a row and get a double, still good stuff.
Northampton Town going up to League One, eh?
4-0. 4-0 over Exeter. 4-0. 4-0. It was
going to be excited.
Oh yeah, it was 2-0 and then a nasty tackle. What's the Twitter account again that shows all the nasty tackles that you have on your timeline?
I found this great series of Twitter accounts from Argentina, and I got followed by the best saves one, and now Jess has found it. They followed me because I followed all of these. Mejores Patadas is the one for best fouls, essentially. Amazing stuff. I mean, the pinned tweet that Mejores Patadas has is one of the nastiest fouls I've ever seen in my life. It's just horrendous. And you get stuff from like non-league in Argentina. You get stuff from every league in the world. This one will probably make it, I guess.
Yeah, there was a tackle in the 60th by a player from Exeter that went straight red, and it would go to Mejores Patadas, and then Northampton scored 2 more after that. So 2-0 turned into 4-0 very quickly, and they make their way, after a 2-year absence, I think, back up to League One.
And Exeter gets relegated next season.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Well, I mean, that goes to the theory that we were talking about of this. Jason, what did you say that it was of the 9 teams we were talking about it last week? There were 9 clubs.
I can't remember how many
called
I
your
said.
shot. 7.
Maybe.
I think you said would be in the bottom, like
yes,
in a relegation battle.
7 would be of those 9 would be fighting
be in a relegation battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I was on one last week. It happens sometimes. Mejores Atajadas is the saves one, and I think it's Mejores Goles. I might be wrong. A whole bunch of them, and it's not just Argentine highlights. It's all South American highlights and just highlights from all over the world. But the funniest ones are the like Sunday League ones, where you've got like guys with giant beer bellies just kicking people in the face for no reason. I mean, it's just
spoilers.
And it's someone that's asked for them to film the game on Facebook so that they can like tag their friends in it too. It's like super professional content from the iPhone.
Oh, 100%. We're gonna finish with this. Jess, have you seen the new Premier League ball for next year?
I haven't. I've missed out.
I need your reaction to this. So, can you look up stuff on Twitter while we're talking?
No, but John can show me a picture. Can he not just put it up to the screen for me?
I got it. Okay, actually, give me a second. I got it. I can do this.
Okay.
Because this is worth it. Because this thing is insane.
Yes.
Hold on. I got to do it over here because I have multiple computers going. You guys are going to have to bear with us. I need a goalkeeper's reaction to this thing because I'm terrified for goalkeepers seeing this.
Yes.
I think it's nuts. Nike.
Is it going to pop up in the chat?
It will. Give me 1 second. I gotta.
If I search for something, I would disappear. So,
we don't
want that.
It's kind of important, guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
we don't want that. So Sky Sports posted a picture, and it's a pretty detailed one to see what it looks like. I'm gonna actually put it. Let me see here. I'll put it in the chat. So go to the Sky Sports feed, and you will see it there. Here, 1 second. It's coming. All right.
The anticipation.
I know.
I hope it doesn't disappoint.
Good, really?
No, this thing's ridiculous. You will not be happy about it as a goalkeeper. That's for sure.
Okay. While he's dialing that up, did you see who Benfica is allegedly talking to take over as their manager?
No, I did not. Who?
Pochettino.
Ooh.
At Benfica?
Benfica.
Why would he go to Benfica?
I don't know, but
money. I wonder how much they have.
Yes, but Benfica can't have that much money.
According to the Portuguese newspaper, The Record.
I'm not going to Benfica where the fans throw rocks at my bus. All right, Jess, you ready?
Yes.
Here is the Premier League. It's going to be in 6 different leagues, but the Premier League match ball for next season will look like this.
And I've seen it, so I know what it looks like.
Is it there? How do I view chat? I'm not very technical.
Oh, no.
It's not there.
It's there. It's posted in the chat.
I'm hitting the chat icon.
Ay, Dios mío. I might have to just hold it up to the camera.
I was going to say that's what I'm about to do here in a second.
You're going to have to hold it. Otherwise, and then you won't be able to see my instant reaction anyway.
I can. I got multiple I got a phone.
Hang on.
I got 2 computers. It's ridiculous.
New Nike ball. Okay, so here we go.
Got
If
it.
you're just listening,
I got
you're
it.
probably like,
That's
hurry up,
fine.
guys.
That's
All
fine.
right, so
They're still
here you
hanging
go.
out with us.
Jess,
It's all good.
there you go.
What the? I can't even see it on the like. Ooh, what are all the divots for? And why is it so white?
I think it's just they wanted to make it look plain, which I like the white ball with pretty much the Nike swoosh and a
It
few other
needs
things in it. That's
black
fine.
lines, or it needs black lines though to break it down a little bit.
It's
Like
got
that ball will get
ridges.
lost.
It's got
Yes.
weird
Ridges.
ridges.
You don't
It's a
see
ruffle
ridges,
soccer
you
ball.
don't see ridges when it's coming at you. Like I can't even imagine the divots and the bounces and the awkward. Oh,
It's-
why? I
GK
guess they
Union,
want
discuss
goals,
that one.
right? It's always the way they're always trying to create a ball that moves more, that goes faster, that is lighter, that can be put with more spin on it. Like I'm tired of being like discriminated against as a goalkeeper, and they're just trying to make things. People enjoy watching saves. Like I get goals are important, but people enjoy watching big saves and even games, and stop trying to make things harder. It's 8 feet by 8 yards. That's a big enough goal. Like, stop making stuff more difficult by making the ball even. No.
Brian
almost
Byrne,
wanna get-
who played for the New England Revolution, and he's got at Soccer Cleats 101. He said, so having spent time with the Nike Flight today, some observations. It pings off your foot, convinced it sits in the air longer when you kick it up. He said, on foot, you notice the feeling of the texturing, all those little divots and ridges and weird things.
That's concerning.
He said, it's very, all caps, different to any other soccer ball.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You're going to have to really train with that ball, like, constantly. It's so crazy.
Things.
Yeah. We're going to see a lot of interesting goals, and commentators, if they're going to be commentating, please give the goalkeepers the benefit of the doubt early on in the season. Like, don't be saying, oh, I think he should have seen that one into his hands. No, the divot forced him to parry it. Be nice.
Football_tweet, which just has lots of like soccer culture stuff. It says, the new Nike Flight Ball looks like a goalkeeper's worst nightmare.
Yes. The fact that it's even called Nike Flight, like that just, no.
You've got to look this up and study this thing, because these pictures are going to make you angry as a goalkeeper.
I might have to buy one and just have someone rip shots at me and give my own review, because
there you go.
Those are the kind of things I do find fascinating. It's amazing how different every soccer ball is. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a mess. Badgermon actually posted an article in the Twitch chat from ESPN. Wait a minute, I gotta see what this has to say. 30% truer than its predecessor. Okay. The Nike Aero Track, and they spell it funny. The Nike Aero Track groove, specifically engineered on the ball to ensure a more consistent flight path.
It's a track ball.
Consistent flight path, my ass. It's supposed to make it move.
Aero
sculpt.
They're creating words for this thing. So AERO, which I get,
Aero.
but AEROWTRACK. So Aero Track.
Aero Track.
And they're not done. Aero Sculpt technology.
With the W?
Yes.
Aero or arrow? Sorry, American accents confuse me.
AERO.
Okay, arrow. I was like
Arrow.
like how you should spell airplane. Like the real way to spell airplane.
Yeah. Consists of 4 panels fused together, 40% fewer stiff seams than a traditional 12-panel ball, and a more prominent sweet spot.
So it's a ball. It's a ball for strikers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no ball for goalkeepers out there.
He said that's worth remembering when we're watching panic-stricken center backs belting desperate clearances into the upper rows and relegation fodder slinging high ball after high ball into their elbow-happy target man next season.
So how would a goalkeeper want a ball to be designed if it's not this 4-panel or the 12-panel that we're used to? What does a goalkeeper union want?
You don't want arrow sculpting and arrow track grooves.
Arrow track.
Just give me one of those old brown pigs
like
levers.
in Victory.
Yeah, just something that
thing weighs like 20
out.
pounds.
I would rather be hit in the face by that than like one that can move last minute, because at least I'll see the pigskin coming towards me.
All right, so we've got to get an arrow track groove soccer ball so we can do a video with Jess trying to save this thing, because
we
I
actually
have bad
to
feelings
make this
about
happen.
this.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so Nike, hello, we'd like to test your soccer ball out, or if you're a soccer shop and you just want us to do a stupid video for you, we'll do it. We're ready.
100%. I'm ready to be hit in the face. It is what it is. I'll take it for the team.
I think these things are like $160, so yeah, we're going to need somebody to send us one.
Come on, guys.
Oh, man. So, yeah, check that out. I'm going to need you to maybe do a hot drop about this thing when you see it for real, because it's offensive. It's absolutely offensive. All right. We've had enough Plonker-like conversation and ridiculousness tonight for another SDH PM. We'll be back next week. I'm sure there will be more Plonkers to be considered, maybe more new soccer balls, and maybe some more ridiculous fouls to talk about. So we'll have plenty of that for you next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. We'll be back tomorrow morning to talk more soccer down here on the show. Adios. Mucho plata, y'all.
Mucho plata, yo.
Mucho plata.